Okay, so in a couple of early videos I've had a bit of a whinge about packaging. These two parcels came very recently, and as you can see they are beautifully packaged. They are heavy duty boxes, tape the seams, even got a nice carry handle for the postman to carry. So there's two large boxes here. This arrived this morning as well, and that's been pretty well packaged too. Look, it's covered in a waterproof bag, so hopefully the contents have survived. I'm not sure, it's depending on what it is in here, I'm not sure. Yeah, so again, I'm not a big fan of people posting big box software through the post unprotected. This one fortunately does seem to have survived. So as you can see, it's Windows 98. So I already have a retail version of this, but my version's box is quite tatty. The reason this has survived is because it's got this extra support on the inside. So 10 out of 10 for providing a waterproof bag. Less excited about the fact that it wasn't inside a box, but that's just me being picky, I think. Now let's have a look at these beautiful packages. So really well packaged. Please leave in a safe, dry place if out. You know, that's somebody who's thought about the packaging. Thank you very much for that. But let's open them up, find out what's inside. I'm not sure I've got the patience to undo. Oh, okay. I was going to say, I'm not sure I've got the patience to undo this. I haven't. So, got a knife. So let's take the shortcut. Recyclable packaging as well, so that's very good. Recyclable and recycled. So I do know roughly what's in here, but I don't know in what order. And I'm quite excited about these two boxes. Just going to carefully cut the tape. Don't want to be going into the box too deeply. Although I can see there's nothing at this level at the top. Right. People don't often use duct tape for packaging. Most people use parcel tape, but that's pretty robust. So what have we got in here? Exciting, exciting. Nicely wrapped, bubble wrap. Oh, there's a message. We hope you like your item. How nice is that? This person's going to get a good score on eBay. So at the top here, it's wrapped in a plastic bag inside the box as well, so it's also waterproof. Inside here we have PC DOS. I think this is version 6.2, 6.3. Look at that, very nice. So I think a lot of the things we're about to open don't actually have functioning discs, but otherwise are pretty complete. So here we have a very nice retail edition of PC-DOS 6.3. So as you probably know, that's the IBM's version of MS-DOS that was licensed in a big deal early on in DOS's history. Very nice. Gonna put that to one side. What have we got next? Okay, so a lot of the software comes from the early PC era. Okay, so a lot of this is from the 1980s. Here we've got WordPerfect Executive. So I think this is kind of like, so WordPerfect obviously is best known for their word processor, and this is kind of like an add-on to it, I think, that lets you do other stuff as well, kind of organizing your day, organizing your system. So I've got sticky discs for sticking on your backups. That's nice. Quick reference card. So you can tell what it is because the keyboard overlay is for the function keys on the left-hand side of the PC keyboard, not an AT style keyboard. So that's really cute. As I said, it's missing the discs, but that's not a problem because we can get those. They probably wouldn't have been working anyway, given their age, but we can get those through an abandonware site. So, very nicely packaged, very good condition. I'm guessing this is from 1987 at some point. WordPerfect Corporation 1987, good guess. So very, very early productivity software for PC MS-DOS based computers. Very nice. I'll have a little look at that at some point. So here we've got a very, very large box. Box Pro. So for those of you that use Microsoft Office, the professional version, it comes with Excel, and Excel is basically derived from this product, Microsoft Fox Pro, which was bought from third-party company, and then Microsoft kind of ran with it and turned it into a very, very good product. This was the fastest database system, DOS-based database system at the time by a long way. In all the benchmarks, it beat everything else, including DBase, which was the kind of lead software at the time. This is a slightly later version, but for that, when software packages came with manuals, that's how big the box needs to be to contain all the manuals. So for this to work, you need DOS 3.1 or later, or Windows 3 later, and 4 megs of RAM. So this pattern allegedly contains 5¼ inch floppy disks. I'm not sure it does, but we will not worry about that just at the moment. Oh yes, Martyr's upgrade for DBase users. It was definitely a very popular product, and as I said, if you use Access these days, it's because of that. Alright, what else we got in here? Okay, so we've got a product called Harvard Graphics. I suspect nobody has heard of that. It's we take graphics for granted these days, but in the DOS days, when everything was text-based, producing graphics in software was actually, a feature. And this is a whole application dedicated to producing graphics for business use. So powerful presentations for the business user. The very first version of this was I can't remember what year it came out. I think it was like 1982, maybe 83. This is obviously a later version, version 2.3. Looks like it's changed hands. SPC, Software Publishing Corporation. The original company, I think, was called something different, maybe something related to the Harvard name. This allegedly got some 3.5 inch discs in, but I'm not sure it has. But you need a software like this to make presentations, graphics for things like, the output of your Excel spreadsheets. The graphing features that came in spreadsheets of the time were very, very basic, and you'd often export the data and use something like Harvard Graphics to tart it up. So, very nice. Again, look how big the box is. This is, you need a good quality manual to get this software to work to the best. Has this got a date on it? Minimum 512k of RAM. DOS 2.1 or greater. Very nice. It's got a whole list of printers that it supports, and if your printer wasn't on that list, you couldn't output. So it's not like today's when we have the operating system has its own graphics driver and printer drivers that all the applications can use. Each application has to have its own printer drivers at the time, including the word processors, which is crazy to think about now, but that's how it was back in the DOS days. So there's one more box in here, in this first box, and it's absolutely ginormous. And we have what's called Lotus Freelance Plus. And this was basically similar to Harvard Graphics, but made by Lotus, the company that wrote Lotus 123. Again, look at the size of this box, and look how good condition it is. This has got to be mid-80s. Has it got a copyright on it? Excuse me. It's got compatible with PS2 models. Now they came out in 1987, So this must be a little bit later than 87. Here's a date, 1988. So again, requires DOS, pre-Windows. Very nice. We'll have a potential play with this and some of the other software in a bit. Probably not in this video. So that's what I call good packaging. Thank you very much. Now that was the smaller of the two boxes. Here's the big one. So again, we'll take off this recyclable packaging. I hope the video is coming out all right, because as I said, the boxes are so big I had to put the camera somewhere where I can't easily see the screen, so I don't even know if a lot of this is being filmed in shots, but let's give it a go. So, what have we got in here? So I bought this as a bulk load from a seller, and they weren't particularly a retro computer seller. They just odds type seller. I wasn't sure if it was a house clearance, maybe had that kind of feel to it. Let's have a look, see what's in here. So again, very well packaged. Got some nice space-occupying packaging, followed by some bubble wrap. Let's just take that card out. So they've put inside each package, they've put who it's from and who it's to, just in case the labels come off the boxes. And I know you're supposed to do that, but it's really hard to remember to do that before you seal the box up sometimes. So well done. These guys are brilliant packagers. Look at this. Again, surrounded by bubble wrap and in a bag. I don't know where they got a bag big enough. I can't find the edge of the bag, so I'm going to tear it. So I don't know what it's like where you live, but our local supermarket now recycles this kind of plastic film. I don't know exactly how they do it, but they do. Okie dokie. Alright. So here's an earlier version of Harvard Graphics. Now with Canon printer support. So as I said, you know, every program had to have its own printer drivers back in the day. So what version of it is this? It doesn't have a version on the outside, so this may be version 1. Maybe they didn't realise they were going to read previous versions. It is the same publisher, so I got that wrong. Graphics Products of the Year 1988. So this is probably a slightly later version. So the other one we were looking at was version 2.3. Not sure exactly what version that is. But when you bought software back in the day, you know, you got something physical. It wasn't a digital download. Now, you could say, well, there was no instant gratification. Well, there was, because you went into a store and you bought this. And it was massively expensive. This would have been a couple £100, I think, for a product like this. So software definitely has come down in price and increasing complexity. But it's just nice having a book and a manual and a box, particularly one that's in such a nice condition. Now, I'm going to get this out because it's possibly my favourite thing that's going to be in here. Now the box on this is a little bit damaged, unfortunately. It's got a little tear in it. But here we have Windows 386. So basically this was the first version of Windows that was actually kind of semi-decent in terms of allowing you to do useful things. So this is a kind of obviously a Toshiba branded version for the T5100. And if you had a 386 based computer, this software will allow you to use the virtualization features of that processor. So you could have multiple DOS programs running on your 386, and each would get their own allocated memory space. So each would think it's still running in DOS. This all sounds so simple now, but at the day it was like a revelation. So each of these would get their own kind of protected memory area and allow you to multitask. And there were other bits of software around that allowed you to multitask from within DOS itself, Quarterdeck being the most famous, I think. But this is the first version of Windows that kind of really took off. And it's not even Windows 3. This is version 2, but it's kind of like a later modified version of version 2. So very, very nice bit of software. Look, it's even called Presentation Manager. That's interesting, isn't it? Because that's the name of the graphical interface for OS 2. So very, very nice bit of software to have. We'll check later on whether it's got discs in or not. I know that some of these products don't have, but very, very nice thing to have. All right. Okay, this is one of the later products that's in this bundle. It's got a little bit of a tear in the box, but Microsoft Access, designed for Windows 95. So after Fox Pro, I can't remember if there was a Windows version of Fox Pro at all, but it very quickly morphed. The database engine that's in Fox Pro was grafted into this product, Microsoft Access. I'm not sure if this is the very first version of Microsoft Access, but basically this then Windowsified Fox Pro, and the rest is history. So that's very, very nice for Windows 95 and Windows NT. Has it got a date on it? Let's should read the license agreement. So this is, it's calling itself version 7. It isn't version 7. In the early days of Office, they aligned all the version numbers of all the products that were started to be included in Office. So there were some big gaps in the version numbers. This says it imports Visual Fox Pro version 3. So I think there must have been one Windows version of Fox Pro before Access came along. But there you go, Microsoft Access, one of the early versions of Access. Nice. So let's have a look here. Oh. WordPerfect for IBM personal computers and PC networks. So which version is this? The two kind of standout versions were versions 4 and version 5. This is version 5.1. This is probably the best version of WordPerfect. Look at this massive box. Oh, it weighs a ton. Look at those manuals. That's just for a word processor. At the time, it was the market leader. They kind of stuffed up the transition to Windows, which is why no one ever knows what WordPerfect is now. But in the DOS days, they were, in the kind of mid to late DOS days, they were the premier word processor. Very quickly killed WordStar, which in the early days of DOS had been the main word processor because it had been around on the CPM and some other systems in before. So yeah, and then WordPerfect obviously got bought out by Corel later in their life. So you don't really hear much about it these days, but 5.1, very nice to have that. What I'm hoping to do is be reviewing a lot of this software at some point in the future. We can't do it in this video, there just isn't time because there's so much exciting stuff. So what else have we got in here? Okay, so we've got another version of Harvard Graphics, version 3, and this one's for Windows. So this is kind of the transition between DOS and Windows early on. This is the international version. And weirdly, I put this is for producing business graphics in color, and they've put black and white photos on the back of the box. That's a bit weird. Some animations, very nice pixelated man there parachuting. So that's going to be a little bit of a weird thing, isn't it? Because this company had loads of experience making DOS products and then trying to transition to Windows. And have you heard of Harvard Graphics now? No. Partly because the functionality of this bit of software is now built into everything else, but also I suspect they didn't manage that transition to Windows very well. Very nice though. Again, nice, really well. And that works for Windows 3.0. Just a couple more, 3 more things to go. Let's go for the biggest. Oh, Lotus Graph Writer 2. So I don't know, actually, I never used this. Some of these other products in the past I have used, believe it or not, at the time when they came out, because they were on computers at university. But there was no way an individual would pay for all of this stuff unless they were self-employed and had a thriving business, because they were just too expensive. But again, here we are, Lotus Graph Writer from the makers of Lotus 123. I think the title gives it away really. It's for making graphs. The box has had a little repair, which is a shame, but this is nice, version 1.0. Very nice. So you need for IBM PS2, so again that must be post 1987. Is there a copyright? There's 1987 is the copyright date on that. So very nice. I'm running out of room. Okay, and here we have probably the most important application for the IBM PC, Lotus 123. Okay, so the spreadsheet was the killer app for the PC in the same way as it was for the Apple II. It was just slightly different spreadsheet software, so it wasn't VisiCalc. Lotus 123 dominated on the early DOS days of the IBM PC. This is version 2.01, requires DOS 3.2. I got a feeling that there was a really strict disk-based copy protection system on Lotus 123 around this time, so it may be that we can't get this working with disk images unless they've somehow been cracked. It'd be nice if there's some disks in there. But that is, you know, possibly the single most important app for the IBM PC. So it was really great to have an early version of that. In the same way that WordPerfect 5.1 was the best and the kind of pinnacle of DOS-based word processing, Lotus 3.2 I think was the kind of highlight of Lotus 123's career. I think after that things got a little bit hairy, but Lotus version 3 was very widely available and widely used. So this is a slightly early version, so I'd be interested to see what it's missing. And finally, there is one more thing in here. It's come apart. So it's missing its outer sleeve, actually, this one. But this is Lotus Magellan. So in the old days of 20 megabyte hard drives, you could lose things. They were so big. You know, it would be hard to find the particular document you needed. And so search software and organization software started to become a thing. And that's what Lotus Magellan was. It was basically, it would try and index the files on your hard drive and give you previews of them. It was more than just a search. It was a little bit more kind of value to it than that. But this never really got anywhere. Maybe, I think, because actually 20 megabytes, you probably could find the file you were looking for in a 20 megabyte hard disk. It wouldn't take very long. Plus also Windows came along, and this was purely DOS based, and I don't think they ever made anything that was approaching a Windows version. So it's a little bit thinner, so it's probably not quite feature laden as perhaps the developers would have liked and charged you for, so maybe that's why it didn't do very well. But very interesting to have, nice to have a kind of a selection of Lotus software. Because they really did drive the sales of the IBM PC early on in its career. Lotus Magellan Idea Book. Okay, what is that? Let's have a quick look. Hang on, I just got to show you that. Did you see it? Discovering databases you never knew you had. Okay. Well, I was quite young in those days. I wasn't that senile, so I probably did know I had them. But thank you for finding them once I'd lost them. There we go. So this isn't a video about packaging, but it kind of started off that way. May have felt like that. So let's move this out of the way. So there we have it. We have a lovely selection of DOS and early Windows software. I'm particularly excited with the DOS stuff. Part of the retro appeal is the nostalgia, isn't it? And some of these products were stuff I used early on in my education. So it is nice to see them back out. Some of these are historic bits of software. Some of them actually have, you know, some of them are so important that the PC may not have actually survived as well as it did without these bits of software. I'm just going to zoom back out. It's going to be very exciting to have a play with these and make some software, make some videos about them. If you've got a favourite out of this pile, let me know in the comments below. if you use this when you were younger at the time, let me know, because I'd be very interested in I know how I use these products. I'd be very interested in getting feedback from other people, see what they use and how they used it and whether they thought it was good or not. Brilliant. Okay, now I've got to find somewhere to stash all of this stuff. Okay, so another box of software has turned up, which is the other half of what we opened previously. Again, nicely wrapped. Sign on here to not leave it outside if it's raining, so that's good. Because I know what's in it, I am going to use the knife just to cut that open. So it's possible I may have opened this upside down. No. It appears to be the correct way around. A little bit of polystyrene residue. So it looks like it might want to come out in one go. Maybe I have opened it upside down. Let's see if we can do that. Let's see if we can get it out in one go. Indeed we can. Lovely. Sorry about the crinkling. So, what is in here? Well, some more retro software. We turn around this way. It'll make more sense. Brilliantly wrapped. Totally waterproof. So the first item is Lotus Magellan. So this was in the other box. This is a slightly different packaging, and I believe this one has got the discs in it. So the other one was discless. This is release 2 as well. And I think the other one was version 1. And what we're going to do with this, well, same as everything else. I'm actually going to use it on some retro computers, and we're going to put that on a video. So what does it do? It's kind of like a viewing and searching your hard disk. When hard disks first came out, they were considered vast, and people used to lose files, and Magellan was one way of kind of finding those files and previewing them without having to use the full application. So this is a list of applications it can preview, which is very nice. Needs at least 512k of memory. I think we should be able to manage that, so that's really good. Very nice. Little tear in the box, but overall in pretty good condition. What's going to come out next? So here we have some floppy disks, and I think some of these, yes, some of these are for the boxes I've already opened, and they didn't contain disks, and they've turned up in this other package. So Harvard Graphics. Some more discs, an earlier version of Harvard Graphics. Webpack Executive, okay. So again, we've got the box for that, so it's nice to have the floppy. We don't know if any of these floppies work. The seller was unable to test them. Lotus 1, 2, 3, release 3. So full set of floppies there. I think this is the point where they stopped doing copy protection on their floppies. I can't remember exactly. So that might be able to back those up. That'd be good. And one more Lotus Graph Writer 2. Excellent. So yeah, we had the box for that in the other package, didn't we? Very nice. So nice to get the discs to go with it. This we'll come back to. It's pretty easy to see what the other stuff is. Let's get the packaging out of the way. So, IBM Via Voice. Now, we take voice recognition completely for granted these days because it's on everybody's phones. But back in the day, it was quite a computationally difficult thing, and the software to do it was quite specialist. There were a couple of big manufacturers. IBM was one, Dragon was the other, and essentially completely pointless these days. Accuracy now is much better, and it's basically ubiquitous. Every app has the option pretty much to use voice recognition and voice dictation. There are some extras in here that you can control the Windows environment using the voice as well. As I say, we take that for granted now, but back in the day it was a product, and these are not cheap. This is the standard version. I think this was something like between 50 and 100 pounds, and the more expensive versions were over 200, I think. Nice to have a good condition box. So the ubiquitous Microsoft Office 97. This is the professional edition, so this includes Access as well. It's the latest version. You can always print it on your box because it's always going to be the latest version. A little bit of tearing across the top, so the box is a little bit torn. I actually really find that with the Office productivity boxes, invariably they get used a lot, and invariably that means they get torn a lot. So that's a little bit of damage, a bit of shame, but nice to have. I've got a standard edition of this, but not the professional. Norton Antivirus 2007. Now I've actually got this already. One of the great things about these is that hopefully the CD's in there. You can boot off the CD in, so you can scan for viruses on a slightly retro computer. There you go. So you can scan the computer using the CD-ROM, and therefore it's completely write protected. So it's quite a good way of, if you're acquiring hardware, it's a good way of scanning it for viruses. And as long as you're scanning something that's older than the virus scan version, then it should be up to date enough. So obviously not going to be up to date for 2024, but it's up to date enough to scan any viruses that existed at that point in time. So they're really useful to have. Don't underestimate a really old version of antivirus. Could be useful if you're collecting old hardware. And finally, for software, we have a box version of Windows 95. So this is the version for PCs without Windows already. So this is not the upgrade, I should say, from Windows 3.1. This is a kind of the full fat install. A little bit tatty box at the top, but it is the floppy disk version. So that's nice. So there's a whole load of floppies in there, hopefully. I can't remember how many it is. But again, nice to have. I don't actually have a retail version of Windows 95 like this. I've got loads of OEMs and an upgrade, but this is the full fat one I've got. So that's good to have. So the other thing that came in here, which is kind of like a bit of a freebie bonus, is this. So I'm a bit partial to Sony products. This is a Vio branded product, although it's not a laptop, as you can see, but it is a media streamer. Now again, that's kind of pretty much redundant. There's different ways of doing that now, but back in the day, hardware products were all the rage. This one has got some paperwork with it, by the looks of it. The Vio recovery and documentation disc. So actually, maybe that is for something else. There's no discs in there. That's probably just the manuals for this. So you've got your network connectivity, video and audio out, optical out as well by the looks of it. And quite a stylish little piece of hardware from Sony again. Nice to have. I'm not sure I'm actually going to use this, but it's a pretty little thing. What also came with it is this, the Sony Sonic Stage Mastering Studio. So this is a bit of software that was specifically designed for copying audio to digital on your Sony computer or laptop. And there's a couple of different versions of this, but it's pretty uncommon to find. So I'm really glad that that was in the bundle. Quite a nice little box. So yeah, so the picture here of record players, cassettes, and compact cassettes. And it comes with a load of filters, and most of these you can probably now get open source, but it's nice to have a little branded to go with my Sony Vaio products. Very nice. This I wasn't expecting. This looks like the manual for an Sony LCD display, and the driver disc. Easy setup, utility and user's guide. Don't actually have that product, but it might be useful. It might be worth putting this on archive.org if no one's done that already. So this person obviously having to clear out, and they just threw that in the box as well. That's nice. Okay, so the last box of software has arrived. So is this lovely, very interesting case, but this is for a different video. Let's have a look at this. So this is the third box that I bought from this particular seller. As you can see, nicely wrapped. Please leave in a dry place if it's left outside. Thank you very much, seller. So I don't know why I've got this love for old productivity software. There must be a reason, I just can't think what it is. Well packaged, some improvised, reusable packaging there. Not sure what it's come from. Another note from the seller, thank you very much. Okay, some bags. These feel like they've got floppy disks in. This person is very well organised. Latest Freelance Plus, lovely CC Mail for Windows demo program. Interesting. So I think I've got the box for these already. I think that's already come in one of the previous parcels. And what have we got in here? Lotus Amy Pro. So before the world was overtaken by Microsoft Word, there were other word processors for the Windows platform. Amy Pro was one of those that Lotus bought in. If you've ever used a Lotus Smart Suite, you'll have used that. And what have we got here? Freelance graphics. Now it's the same as this, but it looks like it's a more recent version, release 2 for Windows. So again, that's probably part of Lotus Smart Suite. This is the original DOS version, version 3. Not the original DOS version, but a DOS version. I was particularly interested in this, HTC Windows Explorer. So this is basically a graphical menu system. It's like a replacement shell for Microsoft Windows 2 and 3. And it's very interesting. I knew the box was crushed. That was already explained, but I think we can revive that. But it's very interesting because I've never seen a review of this. So looking forward to giving that a play. So next one is something that I wasn't particularly interested in, but it was interesting for a couple of different reasons. One, it's made by OnTrack, the people who make the disk overlay software. So I've used their products before and they're pretty good. Easy uninstall. So uninstalling software from early versions of Windows could be problematic. They would often leave files behind if they were locked, bits of the registry, and this kind of software was designed to kind of help you fix that particular problem. It's a problem that essentially went away with Windows XP. From that onwards, it was kind of much better at looking after itself. But nice to have, big box. It's in very good condition. So that will be fun to have a little play with. So this is a bit more modern. So Parallels Desktop 7 for Mac. So this allows you, this is virtualization software, so it lets you run other software under Mac OS. It's particularly aimed at running Windows, but I suspect you can probably run other bits of software on there as well. And this is version 7. Can't remember when that's from, but it's talking about Intel-based Macs. That must be relatively recent. So that's a useful thing to have potentially. Not very retro, but nice to have. And here we have one of the main things I was looking for, Windows ME. So this is the upgrade version rather than the full retail version, which I think most of them were. This software was only out for about 11 months before it was replaced. So there aren't a lot of full retail versions of this that I've seen online. What I particularly liked about this is the box is in really good condition. So very excited to have that. I've actually got a version of Windows ME already, but the box is very tatty, so this is very welcome. Lovely. Again, something that's not that retro, although it is technically abandonware now. So Windows 7. So support for Windows 7 was pulled a few years ago. I have got a couple of Windows 7 machines from Dell in my collection. They've got the OEM version. Obviously this is the full retail version. And you can see the box sizes are getting smaller as the decades go by. But yeah, nice to have. And again, it's in really good condition. So very happy to have that. All right. So the other thing that's in here, which I was quite looking forward to, is a version of Windows Lotus 123. This is version 4 for Windows. Again, I'm a big fan of old productivity software. Early Windows productivity software, less so. I'm more a DOS kind of person. But the box was in really good condition. I was really looking forward to having a little look at this at some point. Very exciting. And finally, I think, we have something that's not software at all. It was basically a freebie thrown in because they had it and wasn't sure what to do with it. And it's basically a book. In this case, it's the Microsoft Press running Microsoft Office. So in the days when instruction manuals were starting to get thinner and manuals would be provided in PDFs on CD-ROM that came with the software, companies managed to supplement their income by writing books about their own software. In this case, it is Microsoft Press, writing about a Microsoft product. You could argue that should have been in the box originally, but nice to have. And again, it's in very good condition, actually. And Office 97 was just one of those releases that was just really, really good. So I'm not surprised that Office kind of overtook other software suites. I mean, you could argue about the monopolistic, I can't say that word, about the marketing practices of Microsoft, but even so, sometimes the products are pretty good as well. So nice to have, particularly as it was free. So nice to have that in my collection. And I think that's it for this box. So that's the third of 3. That's enough software for now. Definitely going to be installing this on a system in a not too distant future, so look out for a video for that. And I'm very interested in having a little play with this and fixing the box up. If you ever use this at the time, do leave a comment down below, because I never came across this at the time. So it does intrigue me a little bit. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you on the next one.